Oh Lord, it's sweet in the morning. This is an interview with Mrs. Annie Marie Butler for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's Oral History Project. I'm Dr. Horace Huntley. We're at Miles College. This is June 7th, 1995. Ms. Butler, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come and be with us today.
Thank you.
I just want to start by asking a few general kinds of questions about your family. Where were your parents from? What part of the state were they from? Or were they from Alabama?
They were from South Alabama, Marengo County, called Dayton, Alabama.
Dayton, Alabama. Both of them were from Dayton?
Both of them.
Okay. Were you born in Dayton?
Yes, I was born in Dayton, Alabama.
When did you come to Birmingham?
Oh, I came to Birmingham when I was 11 years old.
I see. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I don't have any brothers or sisters.
Okay,
I'm the only child.
Okay, did they spoil you?
Well, I was rotten.
Okay. Tell me just a little about your parents, about their education. How much education did they have?
My mother and father didn't have a high school education, but they did go to school. I don't remember, how long, what the year they went, how many years they went, but they did go to school. They did know basic, reading, writing. And
What most black people didn't go to school formally during those times, where they went to some schooling, but not in the ways that we're doing today.
No, not like we're doing now.
Yes. What about their occupations? What kind of work did your mother do, for instance?
Okay, when my mother was young, they all did farming. And then when we moved to Birmingham, my father worked in the mine, and my mother did like private home.
Was he a coal miner or an oil miner?
Coal miner.
Coal miner. Okay. Then what community did you live in as a child growing up?
Avondale.
Avondale. Okay. What mine did he work? Did you know?
No, it was in Overton, Alabama.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know the name of it.
You then was brought up in Avondale. How would you describe your community?
The community was, all black community.
Okay.
We didn't have any other races in the community, but it was a pretty nice community.
What kind of work did people do? Were most of them miners?
A lot of them worked for the Tennessee Company, I think.
What company? Tennessee?
Tennessee Company.
Oh, TCI?
TCI.
Oh, I see.
And there was another place, Stockham Valves and Fitting, because that's right out there in Avondale.
I see. Okay.
That's where my children's dad worked at Stockham and Valves and Fitting.
I see. Did your mother work outside the home when you were growing up?
She worked in a private home,
Oh, okay.
For the white people.
I see. In that general area?
Around in the Avondale, in the East Avondale, Woodlawn.
Right. Tell me about your schooling. Where did you start elementary school, for instance?
I went to, it was called it was Avondale School, but it was in East Avondale, not directly just right in the center of Avondale, but called East Avondale. And that's where I went and graduated to the 9th grade. Then I went to Ormond High School on the south side, and at that time we were going to Ormond 2 years, and then they transferred over to Parker 2 years.
Okay. And you graduated from Parker then?
I went to Parker. I went to Ullman 2 years, then I went to Parker a year. Then I dropped out of school and I went to night school. But I finished in the night school.
Okay. How would you describe Ullman High School and Parker High School during that time?
Well, to me, they were real nice schools because that's all all we knew about at the time. So both of them was real nice schools.
Yeah. What about were there any particular teachers that that you remember most in those schools? And if so, why would you remember them?
Okay, I remember Miss Hayes. I don't remember her first name. She was, I think she was an algebra teacher. I was real fond of algebra, and I remember her. But as far as the rest of them, I didn't remember those in Parker too much.
Well, after high school, then did you go on and get a job? What did you do?
That's when I got the job at Robert James Company.
Okay, and what did you do at Robert James Company?
Oh, at Robert James Company, I did the errands. I used to go downtown and pick up the mail for them, or go pick up things what they needed.
And in 1956, when the NAACP was outlawed from operating in the state of Alabama, the Alabama Christian Movement for Human Rights was organized. Were you actively involved at that time?
I joined the Alabama Christian Movement at that time, and we enjoyed going to the meetings. So our church was involved, and that's how I got involved with it, because our church was involved, and we would go around from each Monday night. We would go to different churches and have this meeting, and Reverend Shuttlesworth would have different speakers, but he would the police and all would be there, and he talked about Bull Connor a lot, because he was I think it was the mayor. Was it the mayor?
He was police commissioner.
Commissioner of the city, and he was just. I mean, it wasn't fun what we were doing, but just to hear him talk about Bull Connor was just amazing, What
did he say about Bull Connor?
Well, he would just make remarks that how he was against the black people. He was against the black people.
So Shuttlesworth would make fun.
Yeah, he would make fun remarks.
But those were probably very serious
things. Serious things, right? Because a lot of people was afraid for him, to be talking like he did.
How did you look at Shuttlesworth? Was he different than most other pastors that you knew at the time?
Well, I liked him, enjoyed him, but seemed to me like he had a lot of nerve, to do things, say things, and do things what he did. And a lot of the pastors and things was afraid to come out in the open with, what they had to say. And I believe he was, real in what he was saying.
Were you involved with the NAACP prior to getting involved with the Alabama Christian Movement?
No, I wasn't.
Then in 57, Shuttlesworth and Reverend Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I remember Reverend Pfeiffer well.
They attempted to enroll some children into Phillips High School. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, my son was, I had signed for him to be enrolled.
Okay, so he was one of the students that were attempting to enroll at Phillips in 1957?
Yes, he was.
then he was with Shuttlesworth the morning that he went up to Phillips and was attacked by the mobs?
Yes, he was in the car.
Were you there?
Well, like I said, I was driving for the Robert James Company, and I had to go downtown. I knew the time. They didn't announce when they was going to go. I don't know how it got out when they were going, but I did drive down that way.
Can you tell me what kind of feeling did the mother have knowing that her son was at Phillips High School? And of course, looking at this in the context of his times, that was a rather dangerous place to be at that particular time. Why did you decide to allow your son to be a part of it?
I agreed that he do it because I wanted the schools to be integrated, because it just wasn't fair the way they would treat the black kids, and they couldn't go to all the schools. Like, they didn't have the things at the black schools that they had at the white schools.
Well, can you tell me what kind of preparation was made? What happened the night before the kids were going down to Phillips and with Shuttlesworth? What did the movement, Reverend Shuttlesworth or others, do to help prepare you all for that encounter?
They called us and told us, what time to. I don't remember whether they picked them up or whether we took them to a certain place, but they told us what time to have them ready.
Were you all just selected, or did you volunteer, or how were you?
Volunteer. It was volunteer.
You volunteered.
Volunteer.
I see. So they left that morning and went up to Phillips High School. We know that Shuttlesworth was attacked and beaten. His wife was stabbed in the hip at the time. How did your son react? What did he say about this experience?
He was seemed to me like he was a little frightened by what happened down there. From looking at the picture, that was in the newspaper.
So his picture was in the paper?
Yes, his picture was in the paper.
What was the circumstances? Was he inside the car? What did the picture show?
It showed it didn't show the picture inside the car. It showed them. I imagine it was they made these pictures at the hospital.
I see. So they were taken to the hospital. Were they attacked?
No, they wasn't attacked.
Okay. But Shuttlesworth was taken to the hospital. Is that
right? And then they took the children to the hospital too.
I see. Did they take them there to be checked over, or for what reason?
I think they took them to be checked over, but they didn't harm the kids at all.
I see. In looking at how that developed, did that sort of solidify your participation in the movement? Were you sold on being a participant in the movement? Because I know now, as a result of your name appeared in the paper, you were terminated from your job. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Can you tell me how that came about? What happened? How did they tell you that?
What happened when they saw it in the paper? I'm sure when they saw it in the paper, because they told me right after, not the same day, a day or two later. Then they told me they didn't need me anymore, but they didn't say why.
No, they didn't give you any reason.
No
They didn't tell you
reason.
it's because you
Well, I was kind of like a part-time employee in a way, and so they didn't tell me why, but I knew, what it was.
So you then being terminated, and you had a child to raise. What kind of strain did that put on you and your family?
Well, it was wasn't really strange because they were getting a check. Their father was dead, and He gave them a check until they got 18 years old.
I see. So it didn't really strain your family
No,
economically?
not really.
Okay. Well, what happened after that? Did you find another job?
After that, I found a job over at a clothing store, and I worked there a while until my pastor, Reverend Herman Stone, decided to open a kindergarten in our church. So they asked me would I be director of the kindergarten. And so I stopped working where I was working and, went on and started working at the church. And it was a built thing because we didn't have but a few children, so we weren't making much money. So what they did, they said, well, if we make whatever we make, we divide it, with you, whatever we make. And so this is how it got started. And the kindergarten finally grew and grew after we moved to the south side, then we moved to West End, and it grew up to, I was making a real good salary when I retired.
What church were you a member of?
New Hope Baptist Church.
New Hope Baptist Church. Then was New Hope one of the churches where the mass meetings would be held?
Yes, it was held at New Hope.
Okay.
New Pilgrim, Groveland, where Reverend Pfeiffer's church. I don't remember the name of his church, but all churches weren't participating, but New Hope, New Pilgrim, and I remember those. And
Right.
uh-huh.
So I'm assuming then that you attended the mass meetings on a regular basis.
I attended each Monday night.
How would you describe the typical mass meeting? What was it like?
Well, it was kind of, it was kind of exciting because this was something new going on in Birmingham. It was really exciting to be there and not be afraid, we weren't afraid. So they would have more policemen there, every night, every Monday night. And you would think, they would be guarding. I really don't know what they were there for.
But they were there in the meeting?
In the meetings, yes.
Many times were they taking notes of what was going on during the meeting?
Well, I imagine they did, but I don't remember.
Right. Did you demonstrate? Participate in any of the demonstrations? I know there were bus demonstrations where they actually sat on the buses, then they went in and sat in at Loveland's and Newberry's, places like that.
No, I didn't participate in any of the sit-ins.
But you were a member of the membership
committee. Yes.
Tell me about that. How did that work?
Okay, you would ask people, different ones to join the membership, join the Christian movement, and I think it was by paying $1 for membership, being a member, and the churches would always be packed with people.
So that's where most of your memberships come from the various churches?
The churches, yeah.
Did others in your family participate?
No. My mother and my aunt went to the meetings, but they didn't participate. They participated in marching from New Pilgrim down to the city jail. My mother did.
I see. Did you participate in?
No, I didn't participate in that.
Okay. You were usually working at the time, or why is it that you did not participate in the demonstrations?
Well, after I started the daycare, I had to be there all day, so I didn't go to any of the marches.
Right.
a demonstration.
Let me back up just a bit. I know after your son, along with Shelters for His Children, Reverend Pfeiffer's children, they attempted to integrate Phillips High School, and you were not successful in that. What did you do?
Okay, after they went there, we knew when they went there they wasn't going to be enrolled anyway. So we kept them out until after then. Then they went on to their regular schools.
Did you file suit?
The movement, I think they filed suit, but I didn't file a particular
I see.
suit.
But your names appeared in the paper as being participants
Right.
in that particular effort
Suit.
to desegregate the schools. Okay. How many children did you have?
Okay. At the time, I had 2, but I have 4 now.
Okay. Was that your oldest son?
The oldest son, the one that participated. Then I have another one that's 2 years younger than him.
Okay. Did he participate at all?
He didn't participate because I let Walter participate because he was ready to go in high school at the time.
I see. So where did he eventually go to high school?
He went to Urban High School. He graduated there from Urban High School.
I see. You say you were a member of New Hope. That means that your church then was actively involved in the movement.
That's right. My church was active. My pastor, Reverend Herman Stone.
He was very active, and
in the
the
movement.
people basically supported his efforts.
Yeah, whatever the pastor be, and we support.
Right. If I were to ask you, what was your most vivid memory of the movement days, what would you say? What do you remember most about the activities of the Civil Rights Movement that you were involved in?
Okay, what I remember mostly is about the integration of the school, trying to integrate the schools.
Why does that stand out so much in your mind?
It stands out because my son was involved.
So that would make it stand out then. That brings it very close to home. What benefits did you, your family, and the community realize as a result of the movement?
What benefits?
Yes.
Okay. I think some of the benefits are what we have now about the schools. What we have now is they had they had sit-ins at the lunch counters and all those stuff. We used to go downtown and we couldn't at Newberry's we couldn't go up to the counter and order something. You had to stand at the end where the big drink jug was located. That way you could only way you could get waited on. You had to go to the back doors and all that stuff. And I think about the Christian movement being organized and we worked in it, that this brought about a change.
And of course, you would then suggest that the movement, your assessment of the movement, be one of success,
right,
rather than failure.
I think it was
because those things did change.
They changed.
Okay. What else? If there's anything else that you'd like to add that we've not dealt with during this conversation, I know that you were quite active. You participated in all of the Monday night meetings, many of the Monday night meetings. You knew many of the people. How would you sort of characterize that particular period of time in terms of the stagnation of Birmingham and race relations, and then in terms of change? How would you characterize it? Would it be an era that you would like to to see renewed? Would it be something that you would not want to see happen again? How would you look at that period?
I wouldn't like to see it renewed, happen again, because we went through a lot of changes then. Back then, when after we signed for the children to go to Phillips High School, then there was some of the movement people that was guards that had to watch our houses at night, and they would stay out there all night long, watching to see that nothing happened to us. And I wouldn't like to see that go back through that again.
Because your family, in fact, was threatened. You
Yes,
threats.
we had telephone calls and threatening telephone calls and stuff like that.
How did your that affect you and your children at the time?
Well, really, I mean, I was young. It didn't bother me too much because I wasn't afraid. And the children, I don't think they was afraid.
At that time, you were living in what community?
Avondale.
In Avondale at the time as well. Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we have not dealt with?
No, I can't think of nothing else.
Okay. You said that you had an article of the...
Yeah, the newspaper clip. It's a newspaper where it started on the front sheet. This is where they took them to the hospital. It started on the front page, and I have the second page. I don't know what happened to the front page.
Okay.
But anyway, it has a picture of Reverend Shuttleworth and my son Avery and Nathaniel Lee. And the Shuttleworth girl, in this picture that they made while they was at the hospital. I think they were sitting on a bench at the hospital.
Okay. Well, do you have any other items related to the movement, other development of Birmingham that you would like to donate to the Institute? If so, you can always just get in touch with myself or the archivist.
I would like to donate the newspaper, because it does have some information in it, but
Yes.
I really came off and forgot to bring it with me.
Okay.
But I can still, because I made some copies of it anyway.
Okay. Well, we will be in touch with you about that.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for taking your time. And
Thank you.
we will definitely want to talk with you at some later date, and we'll make copies of these and let you look over them. And we'll just be in touch with you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.